What if I told you that within just a short walk you can travel through 2,000 years of history without ever leaving one city? Welcome to Newcastle upon Tyne, a city where Roman roots, medieval streets and industrial heritage all collide in one incredible landscape. And welcome to another video from Geordie Lad Walking Tours. Today we're starting right here on the iconic Quayside with some of the most famous bridges in the UK, each with its very own story to tell. In this walking tour we're going to explore some of Newcastle's most fascinating historical sites, uncover hidden details you might normally walk straight past, and see how the city evolved. So starting with the Tyne Bridge, which opened in 1928, which is currently under a £40 million restoration, getting ready for its 100th birthday in 2028. So we'll continue along the Quayside, and as you can see, the Swin Bridge just straight in front of it, which was Williams Armstrong's rotating marble. It actually rotates so the ships could get upriver, but unfortunately it hasn't rotated since 2017 because the actual mechanism which makes it rotate is broken at the minute. And obviously the bridge behind is the high level bridge, which was designed and built by Robert Stevenson, the son of George Stevenson. And this building in front of it is the old fish market. So we'll head up into the city and have a look at some more of the historical sites on the way through. So this is not actually the original fish market, this is the one that was erected in 1880, which replaced the original fish market. So around here now it's just Monday car park. But we'll head to other areas and I'll see what other historical things we can find on the way around. So we'll just go across this road. See, just high level bridge above with it. So we'll just continue on. So that building straight in front with the scaffolding on is the cooperage. It's one of Newcastle's oldest buildings, currently in danger of collapse, but they're hoping to rescue it. So we'll continue heading up to what we call lawn stairs. These stairs are absolutely ancient. So there's lawn stairs, so we'll head up. So all these stairs, like these, as I said, are ancient. The merchants used to carry sacks, barrels, everything up these stairs years ago from the Quayside up to the main centre of the city. And you can imagine walking up these with barrels and sacks on your back. It'll take some doing. It's bad enough walking up them without anything on your back. Just across me right there through the trees, you get a look at that high level bridge. We'll continue heading up. There's several sets of stairs. It's along the Quayside, different areas. There's one's called Castle Stairs, which I'll give you a brief look at. Dog Leap Stairs, all got their own little story to tell. Bit out of breath coming up there. At least I'm up. So we'll head through where I'll show you the castle keep. As we get to the top of them, the bank from them stairs, we've got the castle keep in front of it, which the city's actually named after, because it's called the New Castle, because this wasn't the original castle. There used to be another one which was a Mott and Bailey type castle before this was built. But then they built this and they fortified the city with the city walls to make it a stronghold. You can see there's a lot of stairs to get up to get into the castle. I'll just take you down here. We've got part of the old city walls. Which is just down these stairs here, which I mentioned earlier are castle stairs. I've got the old city wall in front over there, which used to surround the whole city, but most of it's now gone. And you've got a well. This was uncovered, I believe, in the 70s when they started digging, and they found a lot more of the wall. You can see all this is all the ancient, how it was built, looking right across. And you've got one of the old gatehouses here, which we're just walking through. Just turn around and I'll give you a look at the gatehouse. So there you go, one of the old gates into the city. You see how well fortified the city was all them years ago. So I'll now head up towards the Black Gate, which is another historical place in the city. So this building here is the old guild hall. I believe years ago it used to be the courts as well. See the big stone prominent pillars at the front there. Makes it look imposing. Turn around, got another building which is the Vermont Hotel. You get another view of the castle keep there. I'll now head round to the Black Gate, like I mentioned just a few minutes earlier. Which is just through this railway viaduct, which the Victorians decided to put the railway right between the castle keep and one of the other gates into the city, the Black Gate. At one point they thought about knocking the keep down, but eventually they didn't. So just before we get to the Black Gate, I'll just take you for a walk down here where Dogleap Stairs is. Now Dogleap Stairs have a bit of a reputation, and the stairs have nothing to do with dogs leaping them. So if you look at the stairs, they're shaped like a dog's hind leg. Apparently that's how they get the name. And there's a story going around that once a woman, a Lopan, called Bessie Surtees, run away with her lover, and they came up them stairs on a horse. And this part here, obviously another part of the old city wall, what remains, which is obviously under the railway viaduct. So we've got parts here or the city wall, and that building in front is the Black Gate, which has had bits added over the years, but originally it was one of the main gates, fortifications into the city, and it was turned into like housing, slum housing a lot of years ago. And crossing this little wooden bridge, we've got what we call the Heron Pit. I'll give you a look down the Heron Pit. So the Heron Pit was a medieval torture chamber. Well, not a torture chamber, but they used to hide prisoners down there. Basically no windows, nothing, just a trap door at the top. Threw them down there, left them there. Many of the prisoners died. And we're walking through actually what was the main fortification of the Black Gate now. You can imagine invaders trying to get through here. Narrow, cramped. They would have got picked up quite easy. I'll just give you a look from the front. As I said, it's had a lot of bits on it over the time as it became housing. Because this area around here was all called Castle Garth and it ended up all slum housing over the years, which obviously is all gone now. So we'll continue to walk up into the city, and coming up straight in front of it is the Cathedral, St Nicholas Cathedral. Now this cathedral goes back hundreds and hundreds of years, back to Norman times, some of its original foundations. And apparently that tower up there used to have a light on it years ago so sailors could navigate up the River Tyne because of its high position up on the top of the bank. And I've also heard tales that they used to keep Scottish prisoners up there when the Scottish were attacking Newcastle all them years ago. And I'll just take a little walk down here, which is called the Side. It's the shortest street name in Newcastle, and the Side is named the Side because it's literally on the side of a hill. Now, just on this corner down here was the birthplace of Admiral Lord Collingwood. Now, if you don't know who Admiral Lord Collingwood was, he was Nelson's right-hand man at the Battle of Trafalgar. So there you go. So he was born in a house on this part of the side, which obviously was gone a lot of years ago. The building there now is called Milburn House. But he was Nelson's right-hand man who took over the fleet when Nelson was killed and helped finish off what was remaining of the Spanish. We'll just head round the back of the cathedral. I'm going to show you a little interesting little fact called the vampire rabbit. Now, legend has it the vampire rabbit was put here to deter grave robbers. Obviously we've got a little bit of a graveyard here, but the vampire rabbit is just round the corner. You see that's Milburn House, goes back to 1905, so pretty modern in the city's history, to be honest. So if you look above that doorway, straight ahead of it, you will see a little black rabbit, which I'll get a bit closer so you can have a look. So if you can see above the door, the little black rabbit. If you give us 2 seconds, I'll zoom in for you. So there's the vampire rabbit, which legend says, as I said earlier, that was put there to deter grave robbers. If you believe it or not, that's another matter. But you know how local legends go. So we'll continue to walk further into the city. All this is the cathedral right round. So some bits are newer than others because obviously it took years to build. So you can see There are Gothic bits. The tower is high up. So we'll continue heading towards the central station area of the city, which has got a little bit of history, which I'll give you when we get there. Obviously here we've got a monument to Queen Victoria. And there you are, the Queen Victoria monument. Celebrating the reign of Queen Victoria. So I'll just head this way and I'll take you through one of the little chairs, or narrow passageways is what we call them. But way up here they're locally known as chairs. Not spelt like the chair you sit on. So these are the old narrow passageways. Used to cut through the city at different locations. And I mean, this is not the narrowest one. There's some narrower ones down on the Quayside, which I haven't covered in today's tour. So I was trying to give you more of the historical buildings. We'll cross, keep cutting through, where we'll get to the central station. And see, these are just all back alleys. Now this one's not too narrow, but I say some of the other ones are really narrow. As I said, they're called chairs or narrow passageways. I'll show you the sign up on the wall there, so you can see how it's spelled. There's chair. Obviously this one's called Denton chair. We've got one further around called pudding chair. They've all got their own little bit of history. Across the road there we've got the Literary and Philosophical Society, or known locally just as the Lit and Phil. I think it's the biggest private library outside of London, and it's also where Joseph Swan demonstrated his incandescent light bulb for the first time. And I believe it was one of the first buildings to be lit by electricity. So we're heading round towards the central station now. And just across the road there, that monument is George Stephenson, father of the railways, locally born in Wylam, which is just further up the River Tyne. And this building here was originally the offices of the North of England Institute of Mining and Mechanical Engineers. We'll continue up. So we've got here the Royal Station Hotel, which is built right next to the station. So when people came out of the station, they had somewhere to stay. So you can see the central station there in all its grandeur. Which was built by Richard Granger, and it was actually scaled back a bit. So to think how big it would have been if it had been completed to its full potential. And a little bit of history about the central station for years. It was actually the first covered railway station in the world. Another world first for Newcastle. So any railway station you see around the world, Grand Central, New York and such on, which are covered, this was actually the first. So we'll continue heading up further into the city. We will head up towards some of the old remaining city walls. We will cut up Pink Lane, which is technically one of the other narrow chairs, but it isn't called a chair. But Pink Lane is named after a tower that used to be on the city wall called Pink Tower. So this is Pink Lane. This is the lower part of Pink Lane, which is obviously not as narrow as other parts further up, but originally this was another one of the narrow passageways that run through the city. So as you can see, we're getting further up, it's getting a bit narrower. And over the years, the streets held music halls, lots of pubs, and I'm talking way back, I'm talking 1800s. It used to have a bit of a reputation for ladies of the night, apparently, from what I've been told. As you can see, continues up, and roughly around this area was where the tower was situated. Up the top here, Pink Tower, of the old city walls, which I'm heading up now to give you a look what's left of them. These parts up here are probably the most complete sections left of the city walls. There is various little sections dotted all around the city, but these are definitely the most completed, well, not completed, remaining bits that's left. We made it up to the remaining parts of the city wall. As I said earlier on, these are the most complete bits still remaining. You can see some of the towers still exist. You imagine how thick these walls are. The city was well defended. Attacks from the Scots, you name it. You can see one of the towers there. Imagine people attacking the walls. People defend, got the arrow slits there. Got the little areas where they used to pour hot oil, hot sand down. The hot sand was good because it used to obviously drop down and would go through the chainmail what the attacking soldiers were wearing. So this one's called Durham Tower. I'll just give you a little look inside. Obviously full of beer cans and stuff like that. But you can see one of the arrow slits there. So we'll continue the walk. So this is technically the west walls, because we're in the west part of the city. Again, so looking along there is Chinatown, Style Street, lots of Chinese restaurants. So I'll just take you down here, because we've got something called Blackfriars, which is an old friary. And so you can see Friar Street named. Now Blackfriars is named because the monks used to wear black habits. And this is another ancient part of the city. When you get through, a lot of it's a restaurant now. But there you go. This is Blackfriars. You can see how old it is. The old doors, windows. I say a lot of it's a restaurant now. The Blackfriars restaurant's supposed to be really nice. But eating in here, you'll be eating one of the, technically, the oldest restaurants in the world, because it's obviously in the oldest building. There'll be cut fruit. Which is the old courtyard of the Blackfriars of the Prairie. A lot of it's disappeared, pulled down, you can see. So you've got a few of the remains of what used to be here, dotted all over, different bits. But again, all gone, demolished, which is a shame really. Go back at the remains of the city walls. We'll cut through the little doorway, which will take way to another long section of remaining wall. As you can see on my right there, this is a very large section of the remaining city wall. As you can see, the engine still got the metal gates on. You can look at that part up there, you can see how thick the wall was. Probably impregnable, built to last in them days. There's a little bit of historical information just further along here, which we're coming up to in a few seconds. So at one time, this is the Gallowgate area of the city. Used to be a lead mine, where the sign is. It used to do lead shot. We've got the shaft there, the shaft entrance. You've got the stones, what they used to use to make lead shot. And used to make white lead for the paint industry. Got a little sign there telling you about it. We'll continue along towards Gallowgate and the Chinese gate, and you've still got a lot of the remaining city wall still intact around this area. So just over the road there, you can see the first signs of St James's Park, home of Newcastle United. You've also got the Stack fan zone across the road there. So we've got more of the whole city wall at this side. You can see what's remaining of it. So this is called Ever Tower. So there's parts of the city wall there. And we've got the Chinese gate, which leads into Chinatown around this area. We've got two massive dragons at the gate. That leads you down to Chinatown, which is down there. So we'll head down. This is the Gallowgate area, named after the gallows where they used to take people to be hung many years ago. We're just walking down, and we're now coming to the oldest church in Newcastle, St Andrew's Church, which is just behind the railings there. As I said, this is the oldest church in Newcastle. So I'll have a walk around the front just so I can see you can get out and have a look. So here we are, St Andrew's Churchyard, oldest church in Newcastle, predates the Cathedral. Just over this back corner is the remaining part of the city wall. Again, another bit intact part of the wall. It used to be part of the city trail. You see it used to lead from that bit through the gate there. So this one's actually got a sign on it. So the bit in the middle was removed in 1810 so they could create a street, which is a shame. So the oldest church in Newcastle. You can see it's ancient, and I believe the grave of Charles Avison in here somewhere, composer or something like that, which I think's just down here. There you go. Charles Avison, important English concerto composer of the 18th century, is buried alongside his wife, son and grandson in this church. So we'll head out where I'll finish this video off on Newgate Street, which has got its own little bit of history. But just before I finish this video off, this is Newgate Street, and it was called Newgate Street because this was where the new gate was built a lot of years ago on the city wall. It was one of the final gates on the city wall, and before it was demolished it was actually turned into a prison, which would have been on that corner just beside the church there. So just like that, we've walked through centuries of history, from the Quayside and its iconic bridges to the stories hidden in the streets of Newcastle. It's amazing to think how much of the past is still right here around us if you just take time to look a little closer. If you've enjoyed this walk, don't forget to like and subscribe to Geordie Lad Walking Tours, and stick around for more walks exploring the North East, UK and beyond. Thanks for joining me on another walk from Geordie Lad Walking Tours, and as always, let's go for a walk.